Well, first of all, thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I appreciate it. There's three things that that hopefully this presentation will lay out for you. First of all, just want to give our view of the funding landscape that's out there. Second of all, maybe explain just a little bit of who Podium is and what Podium Ventures is, and then third, a little bit of what our appetite is and how we operate as an organization. So maybe I'll just start off here talking a little bit about the funding landscape and how we actually, and the reason I want to go through this is how we kind of came to building Podium Ventures. So first of all, everybody's heard about the friends and family round and what it takes to get friends and family involved. And quite often we found that this is actually a really effective way, an absolutely necessary way for new companies or businesses, ventures or projects to get going. So this is something within Podium Ventures that we highly encourage, and hopefully with our system you'll see that we actually leverage on top of. Of course, then there's the angels, so you can be talking with Henry's group or a number of the organizations throughout Alberta or Western Canada or North America for that matter. The angel market really is growing significantly. We've seen a big shift over the last number of years with the venture capital community in particular, just because of the size of the funds that they're managing. And it's tough for them to get out of deals. So they need to see big 10-baggers, they need to see IPOs, they need to see things like that. So two things generally happen for the entrepreneurs, and that is usually one, it's tough to get in to see them, and two, you usually have to have a technology that's so significant that's going to make a sweeping change that it's tough to entertain or get entertained by those VCs if you're entering a market where you're making incremental change. So the angels have become extremely, extremely important in that market. Now the angels have a bunch of challenges too, and that's generally around exit. So at Podium, what we've done is we really try to focus on the exit, which I'll come to in a bit. There's the obvious venture capitalists, which I touched on, and the VC funds have some challenges out right now. Not that it's bad to be a venture capitalist. It's they have pretty easy challenges compared to most people's challenges. But their challenges these days are about how do you get exit and how do you get bigger and bigger wins when you've got so much capital to invest. And the cost structure of the venture capitalists is such now that if you've got anything less than 30 or 40 million bucks, it's pretty tough to make money. But if you've got more than that, and you've got very patient capital, it's an incredibly rewarding area to be in. Then there's also the Vulture Capitalists. Now there's lots of those out there, and lots of times these are quite often what I view as the smaller venture capital firms or the super angels who really can leverage over the small entrepreneur and put them in a spot where it's just really expensive capital. Now, there's not necessarily equity players. These are quite often convertible debt type players out there, and they can be effective for your business. I'm not saying that they don't have a place in the market, but it is an area that's growing as well, unfortunately. Then there's private equity. So private equity are those organizations out there that are really looking to go out and either start and or purchase established companies, consolidate the revenues, try to add some synergies, and they're really more of a dividend or an income play in general, not necessarily a capital gains play for the principals, but for the investors in it, they're really looking for the income type play. And private equity, I think, is going to continue to grow aggressively because the baby boomer generation really is looking for that income. That being said, private equity is also very large and relatively a very, very small player in the innovation space for incremental type innovation or stuff that isn't extremely, extremely established. So what's Podium Ventures? And I'm not going to try to have this as a commercial. I want to try to provide value to these guys. But Podium Ventures is local capital backing local ventures that have global potential. So what we have here is we have what's called a private equity corporation. Now that's a new defined term within Alberta under the new national securities regulations, and what that deems us as a private equity corporation that takes in capital, right, has to sit on the boards of companies and is actually in the business of the company. So we're not on the business. We're not typically a venture capitalist saying, hey, let us know when things are going great, or we're going to evaluate you a whole bunch up front, and then, that's the majority of our work. The majority of our work happens after we make the investment. And It also means that we're not a portfolio manager. We're hands-on and we're involved in the business. Our capital comes from Calgary. So we are opening up in Edmonton in September. We've had great demand up there, but all the capital that we raise comes from Calgary. The deals that we back in Calgary are Calgary deals. So one of the projects that we'll be listing on our site in April is a Vancouver-based company that we were really excited about, but we said, sorry, can't, and we would have invested, but we said, we can't do your deal because you got to be a Calgary company. 2 of the 4 principals were from Calgary, and based on that decision, they moved their head office from Vancouver to Calgary and now have their operations here. So hopefully that's part of the idea that we're building community around actually what we're investing in and driving economic promise into the actual communities that our money comes from. So we're really strict on this. We have had significant money from out east say, hey, we want to back these deals, and we've had to walk away and say, no, we don't do it. Okay. So not until we open up in Toronto. So we open pods of areas, if you will, where it's local capital, local ventures, and global potential. And how do we define global potential? Well, we certainly want to hit the home runs if you can, but the deals that we do need to be remarkable. And what I mean by remarkable is that they need to be remarkable for the community that they're coming from. So if they can certainly spur an opportunity, if they can certainly grow opportunity for that community, they become remarkable for us. So we have 5 steps in our process. The first is we attract the deal, we filter the deal, and then we finance the deal. The difference in our filtering process is that our upfront due diligence is about 1/3 of what we do. So we attract a lot of deals. So we come to places like this. We have a website. We do social media. We do all those types of things, and we try to see the cream that rises to the top, if you will. But then what happens is something that we have found to be very unique. Is that if a deal looks like we're ready to fund it, our due diligence is panned out, they have to go into a 90-day trial with us. And that 90-day trial is what we call the RIP kit process, so responsibilities and perspective. And it starts off with a 2-day offsite. And in that 2-day offsite, we lay out the company's long-term, 1-year, and 90-day goals. And through our management process, the senior management and the key players of that organization have to lay out what their RIPs are, their responsibilities and perspective. And we measure those, and we put very specific measurements beside them, and we measure them weekly in a formatted weekly management meeting that we insist on running. By the end of that 90 days, we see where that company has scored. And if they've scored 30s and 40s, I'm sorry, we just can't move forward. If they've scored 80s and 90s and the due diligence is checked out, not only do we think we've got a good company, we've done our industry research, but we know that we can work with management, right? What else is very unique about the process is that the company actually goes up on our website, and we let our shareholders and the general investing public know that we're going to be looking at investing in this company. And if at the 90 days that company is scored properly, we'll make the investment. Not to say that there aren't things that can't go sideways. We just recently did a project that was pretty well known around Calgary. It was the Papa Chocolate deal, or Bernard Callebaut deal. We're really excited about it, had lots of potential. We went through this management process, and by 2.5 months, and we certainly had the capital to back the deal. We had the excitement. We had a lot of the fundamentals in place. But 2.5 months into the process, we ended up not doing the deal, just simply because there were a number of management things that what we thought were going to be up front that would be accomplished just didn't get accomplished. And that I'm not saying it was right or wrong on anybody's part, but it wasn't a fit for us anymore at that point. So we're not afraid to walk away from the deals. Regardless, I think we drove a lot of value to the Papa Chocolate deal. Primarily, however, I just do want to say we are tech focused. That's what most of our background comes from. We do have a fair amount of retail and consumer people within our organizations. There are 14 people in our company working this process day to day. We're well backed in terms of continuing to build out this type of model. So if you get through the if you like the attract, if you get through the filter, then we'll look at the finance process within the company. And so making the assumption that we do a financing, we are then heavily involved in management. So a company that comes on with us is now committed, is required to be a part of the RIP kit process for the remainder of the time that we've got our investment in the company. So what that means is there are 4 offsites a year that we put, that the company must sit through and go work with us. We also then go, thanks, in the weekly meetings, and the top level RIPs are reported to our shareholders on a weekly basis. What we have done is we take the angel, the accredited, even the friends and family, and the institutional investors that would invest with you, and we take the management of that off your hands and let you focus on the business. But we do provide this type of a weekly report out to every one of our shareholders and investors and manage through that process. All of this is because we want exit. We are absolutely start with the end in mind, and if we know that if we do not manage this process, that in a 3 to 5 year time frame, which is our exit philosophy, we are early exiters. We like hitting doubles. We have hit a couple home runs, but we're all about the double. So we look for early exit up front, and this is the only way that we've found that we can credibly start introducing the exit strategy from the day that we invest. So the day we start investing, we are already introducing this project to people that will hopefully either be buying it out or taking pieces of it at significant increase of valuations in that 3 to 5 year time frame. So that's our sweet spot right in there in the finance, but it doesn't happen unless our whole process gets involved. We fund about 4 deals a year right now is what we're looking at, and our range is, you know, that $1 million to $3 million range. The number one thing that we look for with the companies is willingness. If you're absolute rock stars and you know everything about your business and you're just looking for money, we're not the guys, because we can't add value. Where we add value is everything from the branding, the technology, obviously the exit, human resources, and clarity management. We have a very, very strong management process, and that's where we bring the value in. So, you know, this is our ultimate trajectory right here, and so this is our sweet spot of entrepreneurs that we like to deal with. Obviously, competency and being a rock star in your space, all that kind of stuff, that's part of, you know, that's a given. But if your capacity and capability is off the chart here, we're just not the guys to talk to, because I don't think we can add value to you. If you know everything about everything, there's lots of guys that'll give you money. So. So again, we're just focused on exit. I'm a little short of time here. If you want to get a hold of us, here's the best place to check us out, podiumventures.com. There's a submission thing on there. There's 13 questions. The more detailed you can put into those questions, and this really ends up telling your story. And if we can understand your story and understand that we can work with you and that we've got value to add to you as opposed to what money you can make for us, then that's really what that we're about. And we've had some great success. We appreciate your time, and I really appreciated your talk, Michael. I think you're bang on.